The Sovereign Dawn emerged from hyperspace with a shuddering hum, its hull gleaming against the shimmering backdrop of the nebula. The bridge was bathed in blue light, punctuated by the faint, shifting hues of the stellar cloud ahead. Captain Linnea Voss stood at the center, her expression a mask of calm authority. "Status report," she ordered. Commander Adrian Cole scanned his console. "All systems nominal. Nebula boundary 3 clicks ahead. No immediate threats detected." "Good. Bring us within observation range," Voss said. Her gaze lingered on the nebula, its swirling patterns mesmerizing yet ominous. The crew worked in synchronized silence, though the tension in the air was palpable. They all knew what lay ahead, a standoff with the Tgath Dominion, one of the galaxy's most aggressive species. The diplomatic brief. In the war room, Voss addressed her senior officers. A holographic projection of the nebula hovered above the table, its vibrant energy fields marked with glowing red boundaries. "This," Voss began, gesturing at the map, "is what they're after. Zorathium. Rare, unstable, essential for FTL drives. Our science teams estimate this nebula contains enough to fuel humanity's fleets for centuries." Lieutenant Aria Graves frowned. "And the Tgath claim it belongs to them?" "They claim everything they can conquer," Voss replied. "Their evidence is unconvincing, but we're here to keep this from escalating into open conflict." Commander Cole crossed his arms. "With all due respect, Captain, we're at a disadvantage. They've got the firepower, and we're walking into their territory with words instead of weapons." Voss fixed him with a steady look. "If we abandon diplomacy, we lose more than the nebula. We lose what makes us human. Trust me, Cole. This is how we win." First contact. Hours later, the Tgath flagship loomed on the view screen, a massive, spiked silhouette bristling with weaponry. The comm officer announced, "Incoming transmission from the Tgath. High Warlord Krax Valtor on screen." "On screen," Voss commanded, straightening her uniform. The visage of Krax filled the display, his crimson eyes glowing with disdain. His sharp, armored features looked more like a predator's than a diplomat's. "Humans," he spat, the word dripping with venom. "Your trespass here is intolerable." Voss met his gaze without flinching. "We come not as trespassers but as negotiators. This nebula's resources could benefit us all. Cooperation would strengthen both our peoples." "Cooperation?" Krax's laughter was a guttural snarl. "Your kind speaks of peace because you have forgotten war. Do not mistake my patience for weakness. Nor should you mistake diplomacy for surrender," Voss countered. Her voice was steady, but there was an edge to her tone. Krax leaned closer to the camera, his face filling the screen. "You cling to the illusion of control, Captain. Be warned, humanity's history of violence is not a shield, it is a curse. Remember the Godslayer instinct. It will destroy you before it frightens me." The transmission cut abruptly. The room fell into uneasy silence. "What does he mean by Godslayer instinct?" Graves asked. Voss shook her head. "A myth. A Tgath propaganda tool. Let's focus on what we can control. Prep for the diplomatic dinner. It's time to show them what humanity truly stands for." The dinner. The main dining hall of the Sovereign Dawn was a masterpiece of elegance, with crystal chandeliers casting warm light over the polished black tables. Tgath delegates, towering and armored, sat opposite their human hosts, who wore their best ceremonial uniforms. Despite the decor, the atmosphere was tense. Voss raised her glass. "To the possibility of peace," she said, her tone inviting. Krax did not lift his drink. "Peace is a lie told by the weak to the strong. Strength comes in many forms," High Warlord Aaron Holt, the UTA's chief diplomat, interjected smoothly. "Unity, compassion, and understanding are not signs of weakness." "Unity?" Krax scoffed, leaning forward. "Tell me, Holt, do you think your species is unified? Or are you simply afraid? Afraid of what you were, and what you could be again?" Holt's expression faltered. Voss cut in. We are no strangers to our past, Warlord. But we choose to build, not destroy. That is strength. Krax's eyes gleamed. Your strength is illusion. Your people hide behind treaties and words, hoping others forget the monsters you once were. But we remember. The dinner ended shortly after. Krax stormed out, leaving his food untouched. As the Tkath departed, Voss turned to Holt. Did you catch that? She asked. Holt nodded grimly. He's baiting us, Captain. Trying to provoke a reaction. And we won't give him one, Voss said. But even as she spoke, doubt gnawed at her. What if Krax wasn't wrong about humanity's past? Quiet resolve. Later, Voss stood alone on the observation deck, staring into the endless swirl of the nebula. Its chaotic beauty reminded her of Earth's storms, powerful, destructive, yet strangely captivating. Cole joined her, his expression uncharacteristically soft. You did well back there, Linnea. Kept your composure. Did I? She asked quietly. Krax isn't just challenging our claim to the nebula. He's challenging who we are. He's trying to break you, Cole said. Don't let him. Humanity has come too far to fall back into old habits. Voss nodded, though her thoughts remained heavy. The Tkath weren't just testing their diplomatic resolve, they were probing for something deeper. Something primal. We'll hold the line, she said, her voice steady. No matter what it takes. The nebula's light cast long shadows across the room, a haunting reminder of the storm to come. The sovereign dome lay in the eerie quiet of the nebula's edge, its lights dim to match the swirling gloom outside. Captain Linnea Voss paced the bridge, her boots tapping softly on the polished floor. Despite the apparent calm, unease gripped the ship. The crew felt it. The Tkath delegation's departure had left a chill in its wake. Anything on scans? Voss asked, breaking the silence. Negative, replied Lieutenant Arya Graves, her eyes fixed on her station. The nebula's electromagnetic fields are playing havoc with our sensors. We're practically blind out here. Voss nodded grimly. It wasn't just the nebula obscuring their vision. Krax's parting words still lingered in her mind, an unspoken challenge that refused to dissipate. She turned to Commander Adrian Cole, who stood at her side. Keep a skeleton crew on high alert, she ordered. Something doesn't feel right. The infiltration. The attack came hours later, swift and silent. A piercing alarm shattered the stillness, followed by the voice of the tactical officer. Unidentified life signs detected on Deck 7. Multiple breaches reported. Voss bolted upright, adrenaline surging. How did they get through the shields? Looks like they piggybacked on the atmospheric processors during the last maintenance cycle, Graves said, her voice tight. Damn it, Cole muttered, already moving. They've been planning this for days. Voss slammed her hand on the intercom. All hands, intruder alert. Lock down sensitive areas and secure the crew. Tactical teams to Deck 7 immediately. As chaos erupted across the ship, Voss raced to the command console. The display showed the invaders' movements, methodical, deliberate. Their objective was clear, they were heading straight for the diplomatic quarters. The abduction. By the time Voss reached the diplomatic wing, it was too late. The door to Aaron Holt's quarters was blown inward, its edges molten. The corridor was littered with debris, the acrid scent of scorched metal filling the air. Inside, chaos reigned. Furniture lay toppled, and the walls bore scorch marks from energy weapons. A shaken security officer staggered to his feet, clutching his arm. What happened? Voss demanded, helping him steady himself. They took Holt, he gasped. Overpowered us with stun grenades. We couldn't stop them. Voss's fists clenched. She turned to Cole, who had just arrived with reinforcements. Lock down all exits. No one leaves this ship without my say. Graves' voice crackled over the intercom. Captain, the Tkath flagship is powering its engines. They're preparing to leave. Not with Holt, Voss growled. Bridge, disable their engines. Now. The ship trembled as its weapons systems engaged, but it was too late. The TCAF flagship vanished into hyperspace, leaving the Sovereign Dawn adrift in its wake. Confronting the past. Hours later, in her quarters, Voss reviewed the situation. The holographic display showed the last known coordinates of the TCAF ship, its trajectory disappearing into the nebula's interference. The room was dim, lit only by the faint glow of the projection. Commander Cole entered, his expression grim. "We've analyzed their attack. They knew exactly where to strike. This wasn't improvisation, it was surgical." Voss sighed. "They've underestimated us, Adrian. That's their mistake." "Do they know it's a mistake?" Cole asked, his voice heavy with implication. "Krax keeps baiting us about our past, calling us weak. But what if he's right? What if we've forgotten how to fight?" Voss's jaw tightened. She reached for a data pad on her desk and handed it to Cole. It contained classified UTA files, records of humanity's darkest hours, and the measures taken to suppress them. Cole's eyes widened as he read. Neural suppressors? They've been dampening violent instincts across the entire population? For centuries, Voss said. After the fall of Earth, humanity decided that peace was only possible by burying the past, literally. These suppressors don't just prevent aggression. They suppress strategy, ambition, even fearlessness. Everything that made us dangerous. Cole set the pad down carefully. And you're thinking of turning them off? Voss met his gaze, unflinching. Holt's life is at stake. And if Krax sees us as weak now, he'll never stop pushing. We need every advantage we can get. The crew divided. In the war room, Voss assembled her senior officers. She laid out her plan with cold precision. We deactivate the suppressors on a select team. Just enough to carry out a rescue mission. The room erupted in dissent. "This is madness," Graves said. "Those suppressors were designed to keep us from repeating our mistakes. If we remove them, we risk losing control," Cole finished grimly. "And if we do nothing, Holt dies," Voss snapped. "And humanity loses more than its dignity, it loses its future. This isn't just about one life. It's about showing the galaxy that we're not defenseless." The room fell silent. Finally, Holt's deputy, Lieutenant Mark Callan, spoke up. "If we do this, it has to be temporary. The minute we've got Holt back, those suppressors go back on." "Agreed," Voss said. "But we need to act now. Prepare the team." The awakening. The medical bay buzzed with activity as neural suppressors were systematically deactivated. Voss watched as each member of the strike team underwent the procedure. "It's subtle at first," the chief medical officer explained. "They'll feel sharper, more aware. But over time, instincts buried for generations will start to surface." Voss sat in the chair next. The device at her temple emitted a faint hum as it powered down her own suppressor. A strange clarity washed over her, a heightened awareness, like stepping into a room where all the lights had suddenly turned on. She clenched her fists, feeling the strength in her grip, the sharpness in her mind. It was intoxicating and terrifying. "Captain?" Cole asked, watching her closely. "I'm fine," she said. "Let's move." A new resolve. As the strike team prepared for departure, Voss addressed them one last time. "We are stepping into the unknown," she said, her voice steady. "This isn't just about saving Holt. It's about proving that humanity is more than its past. We are warriors, yes, but we are also protectors. Remember that." The crew nodded, their expressions resolute. For the first time in centuries, humanity's dormant fire had been awakened. And it was ready to burn. The Sovereign Dawn glided through the nebula like a predator stalking its prey, its cloaking field rendering it nearly invisible. In the dim light of the command deck, Captain Linnea Voss stood among her hand-picked strike team. The hum of the ship's systems provided the only sound as final preparations were made. Commander Adrian Cole approached her. "We're 10 minutes out from the TCAF flagship. The infiltration route has been mapped, but We're flying blind after we breached their hull. That's how they want it, Voss replied, strapping a compact energy rifle to her back. But they're not ready for what we've become. Cole studied her for a moment, then nodded. Neither are we. The breach. The assault shuttle detached silently from the Sovereign Dawn and maneuvered toward the looming TCAF flagship. Its black hull bristled with spiked armaments and pulsating conduits, a living fortress in the void. The nebula's swirling energy masked their approach, and the strike team held their breath as they neared the ship's belly. Cutting through now, whispered Lieutenant Aria Graves, operating the laser cutter. Sparks danced in the zero-gravity as the hull gave way. When the breach was complete, the strike team slipped inside, one by one. Inside, the air was dense with the scent of metal and ozone. The corridors were dimly lit, their angular architecture alien and oppressive. Stick to the plan, Voss ordered over the comms. We're here for Holt. Nothing else matters. Navigating the labyrinth. The team advanced cautiously, their enhanced senses heightened by the removal of the suppressors. Voss felt every vibration in the ship, every subtle shift in air pressure. It was as though the flagship itself was alive, reacting to their presence. Movement ahead, Cole warned, raising his weapon. Two TCAF guards emerged from a side passage, their armor glinting in the low light. Before they could react, Voss signaled, and Graves fired a silenced energy round that dropped one instantly. Cole tackled the other, his strength augmented by his unlocked instincts. The alien struggled briefly before going limp. Efficient, Graves muttered, her voice tinged with unease. Focus, Voss snapped. We're not here to admire our handiwork. The team pressed on, navigating a labyrinth of corridors that seemed deliberately designed to confuse. At every turn, their instincts guided them, an awareness sharper than logic, an edge honed by centuries of buried potential. Rescue and revelation. Finally, they reached the detention block. The cell doors were reinforced with energy barriers, but Aaron Holt's cell was unmistakable. She sat in the center, her face pale but defiant. Holt! Voss called. Holt's head snapped up, relief flashing across her face. Took you long enough. Graves began working on the control panel while Cole kept watch. They've been interrogating me, Holt said, her voice hoarse. Krax thinks we're hiding something, some hidden strength. He's not wrong, Voss said grimly. The energy barrier dissipated with a crackling sound, and Holt stumbled into Voss's arms. I knew you'd come, she whispered. Let's move, Voss said. They'll know we're here soon. Krax's trap. As they retreated, the ship seemed to shift around them. Doors closed unexpectedly, and the lights dimmed further. The air grew heavy, charged with the tension of an impending storm. They're onto us, Cole growled. They're hurting us, Voss realized. Toward Krax. Her prediction proved correct when they entered a massive chamber, its walls lined with towering statues of TCAF warriors. High Warlord Krax stood at the far end, his crimson eyes glowing in the dim light. So, he said, his voice a low rumble. The sleeping gods awaken. Voss stepped forward, her team fanning out behind her. Let us go, Krax. You've underestimated us, and now you've lost. Krax's laugh was deep and guttural. Lost? No, Captain. I've succeeded. I've seen the truth. Humanity's fire still burns, buried beneath layers of cowardice. But now, you've unshackled yourselves. Tell me, how does it feel to be alive again? Voss leveled her weapon at him. Alive enough to end this. Stand down, or we'll make you. Krax drew his blade, a massive, jagged weapon that crackled with energy. Then come, Captain. Show me the strength of your kind. The duel. The room erupted into chaos. Krax lunged at Voss with surprising speed, his blade slicing through the air. She dodged, her reflexes sharper than ever, and countered with a strike from her rifle's stock. Around them, the strike team engaged Krax's guards. The chamber echoed with the clash of weapons and the shouts of battle. Krax pressed the attack, his strength overwhelming. But Voss was faster, her movements fluid and precise. She ducked under a swing, pivoted, and landed a solid blow to his side. "You fight well," Krax snarled, his voice tinged with admiration. "But you lack the will to finish it. Humanity's flaw has always been its mercy." Voss gritted her teeth. "And yours has always been arrogance." With a final surge of strength, she disarmed him, his blade clattering to the floor. She leveled her rifle at his chest, her finger hovering over the trigger. "Do it," Krax hissed. "Prove to your crew, to your species, that you are no different from the monsters we remember." Voss hesitated. Around her, the battle had quieted. Her team watched in tense silence. "No," she said finally, lowering her weapon. "We're not monsters. And we're not afraid of you anymore." The aftermath. Defeated but alive, Krax glared at Voss as her team secured the chamber. "You've won this day, Captain. But the galaxy will not forget what you've become." "We've remembered who we are," Voss replied. "And that's stronger than anything you fear." They left the flagship in silence, their shuttle slipping back into the nebula's concealment. As the TCAF forces scrambled in disarray, the Sovereign Dawn emerged to meet them, its presence a final warning. On board, Voss stood with Holt in the observation deck. The nebula swirled outside, its colors vibrant and untamed. "We unlocked something dangerous today," Holt said softly. "Yes," Voss agreed. "But also necessary." Together, they watched as the Sovereign Dawn slipped back into hyperspace, carrying with it the weight of a rediscovered strength, and the promise of a new future.